All we can say is wow. We ran an NBA playoff special in which the first 99 packages sold were discounted down to $149, and pardon the pun, they sold like hotcakes. Well, NHL fans, do not fret, as we are not only matching that offer, but we are actually making it better. Starting Monday, April 25th, the first 99 packages sold using the code PUCK149 will not only get the entire NHL playoffs for only $149, but they will also get the rest of the regular season for free. That means that you can get over 2 months of NHL through the Stanley Cup Finals for under $19 per week. That's paying less than one single play package regularly priced at $25. Do not get shut out, as coupon code PUCK149 is good at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo, and only will be available for the first 99 packages sold, but you may use this code to purchase more than one NHL playoff package.
Good morning, guys. Welcome in right here to WagerTalk TV. You're watching Puck Time. I'm Andrew McInnis. I have Carmine Bianco with me and Don Buster in his usual Tuesday spot. Guys, it is a hockey show, but I'm happily repping my Toronto Raptors jersey after a big win yesterday. One game at a time, but I'm super excited about that. Of course, the playoffs in the hockey world are among us as well, and we're super excited to break those down. We do have some games remaining in the regular season, and some of them matter, some of them don't. We'll try and find you guys some winners. Nonetheless, obviously no show yesterday, just the one game, and well, it wasn't really one worth talking about, I guess. But Carm, we ended the season off on a great note, or last week off on a great note, but the season of 6 and 60s. And when I say we, I mean you. Congratulations, man. 6-0 on Friday with 6 and 60.
Yeah, before I get into that, I just want to warn the viewers of impending technical difficulties with Andrew's mic, because our producer is a Philadelphia 76ers fan, and Andrew's sporting a Raptors jersey on the show. So if he goes mute, you'll know why. But yeah, it was a great finish to the 6 and 60 on the year. I think on the year it was very profitable. We had like 3 losing 6 and 60 segments, but we go out in style, 6-0 on Saturday with 6 and 60. I was pretty happy about that, Andrew. And I don't spend a lot of time on the weekends on Twitter. I spend it with the family, and as you know, I had my niece over, took her to the park and stuff. But I loved the pictures that you posted from Montreal. You took your dad there. It's such a great story. And while we want to make sure we stay within our time limit on the show, tell me about the Montreal trip.
Yeah, it was just super exciting. My girlfriend, my dad, and his girlfriend all together. My dad just got cancer-free last week, got the news. So, we were super excited, got the tickets, hoping that he would have that news. And my dad is a Boston fan. I'm a Montreal fan, so it worked out well. This was a makeup game. And then the Guy Lafleur ceremony was just unbelievable, Carm. It was over 10 minutes standing ovation. The PA announcer continuously was trying to cut everybody off and stop everybody from cheering, and they just kept getting louder and louder and interrupting him. And the memorial outside, everything was just so great about that game, the experience, the atmosphere, and the tribute to Guy Lafleur. And just a great family trip. I'm home now, but I had a great time, and I always love the city of Montreal. And I believe, Don Buster, you also, I'm assuming, love that city as well as a Montreal fan. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Congratulations, Carmine, on your 6-0 on that last segment. I'm sure all your viewers here will be hoping for you to do very much success in the playoffs and next year on your 6 and 60. And Andrew, yeah, I was a huge Guy Lafleur fan, my favorite player, of course, because I was around 18, 19 when he was in his prime. Great player. Obviously, almost like a god in Quebec. They're having a state funeral for him, I guess, and they're also having a viewing for a couple of days at the Bell Center. It's too bad that the old forum wasn't there, that they could put him there, because that's where he belongs. But yeah, good. And also very good to hear, Andrew, about your father. That's always great news. It's we come on here, we try to pick winners for everybody. We do what we do. Done this gambling all my life, but you know what? Life is more important, and that's what this is all about. We do this to have better lives and have interesting lives, and glad to hear about your father, and let's pick some winners tonight, guys, for everybody that's watching.
I appreciate that. Family is important. We love what we do, but there's a lot more important things. But as for today, let's jump into the games we will discuss. We have Florida taking on Boston, Carolina, New York, Calgary, Nashville, and Vegas, and the Dallas Stars. Guys, when we start things off here, let's jump in with our first game that we are going to discuss here with the Carolina Hurricanes and the New York Rangers. Carm, I'm going to go to you. Minus 105 with Carolina. Rangers minus 115. Excuse me, my fault. I saw the wrong graphic there. My fault. Florida minus 120 and Boston plus 100. Our first game on tap. And we do have some pretty good games here, Carm. Like I mentioned, some of them mean something, some of them might not, but certain teams are fighting for positions in the playoffs. What's your take on this one?
Yeah, we got it right. Don't worry, we're good. Listen, the first thing I thought to myself is, what are the chances that this total is going to be at 7? Because I probably would take the under, but it's not. I'm seeing 6.5s, but you could see a 7 on it. Listen, Florida is just playing lights out hockey. They had that 13-game streak, but it came to an end against a Tampa Bay team that Andrew. I talked about it last week. They're signaling they're in their last few games that they're starting to gear up for a run to obviously a run to Cup number 3. They sent the Leafs a message in that last game, and I think they sent Florida a message, beating them 8-4, literally scoring 8 goals against the teams that are first and second in that Atlantic Division. Now, they'll finish off with a couple of games against Columbus, but before heading into the playoffs. But you look at this Florida team, and you expect them to rebound off that. They're right now they're 3 points from clinching the President's Trophy. So they basically need a win and even an overtime draw. I think it comes down to regulation wins, but they very well could clinch that President's Trophy tonight with a win against this Boston Bruins team, coupled with Colorado losing to the St. Louis Blues tonight, which, the way Colorado's playing right now, very well could happen as well, too. And they could lock up that President's Trophy tonight. I'm not happy about it because I have Colorado, but this Florida team is just playing so well right now. And you look at the Bruins, they have an outside shot at the number 3 seed, being 3 points back of Tampa Bay. But again, the aforementioned Tampa Bay plays back-to-back against the Columbus Blue Jackets, and you expect them to get result out of that one. So this Bruins team now, the focus probably shifts on holding on to that 3-point lead that they have over the Washington Capitals for that second wildcard spot. I don't think you want to finish 8th in this in the Eastern Conference and have to face this Florida team who seem to be scoring goals at will. With that said, I'm basically going to keep it short here in the sense of I'm looking for Florida to bounce back. They've done it pretty much all season long. When they lose a game, they come back with a very good performance in the next one out. And I think they're facing a Bruins team that I think they are better at. I'm going to go to Buster next on this one, but give me the Florida at a very short price here. Even though it is in Beantown against the Bruins, I'm going to go with Florida here. Buster?
Well, it is the last week of the regular season, and of course, might as well start right off the bat on the show and disagree with my buddy Carmine. After Florida has played well, won 13 straight, kind of reminds me a little bit of last week. We had a St. Louis team that won 9 out of 10 or something like that. And we sat right in this chair here in beautiful Mexico and said that we're going to take the Boston Bruins in this one. And Boston, they've been playing well. They've won 4-5. And we like Boston here again tonight. And only because to knock off these red hot Panthers and what I said last week, why I like Boston to beat St. Louis last week. And Carmine, you mentioned it. They don't want to play Florida in that first round. Definitely not. This Florida team is very, very good. I worry about them defensively, but who knows? They might go back to the 80s hockey and just do an Edmonton Oilers thing and start beating teams 8-3, 8-4 and get to the Stanley Cup final, but that'll remain to be seen. Just like I say, a small play here, but I also like the over here. Boston's in a 3 out of 4 situation, so that's going to be a little tough for them. So, and Boston's one of these teams. I think I had read somewhere where they're one of they have the most shots on goal out of all the teams, which I found that hard to believe with Florida and Toronto and Colorado and all that. But I could be wrong on that. But I know that they fire the puck at that net all the time. And the over in this spot in the 3 out of 4 situation, 8, 1, and 2. Just going to have a small play here on Boston. And I like the over 6.5 because right what, Carmine, you said it right. It's going to be 7 come game time because you're going to see a wide open game. These teams do not want to give up any defense if they're going to try to even play defense. Yeah, Boston and over for me.
Yeah, and Buster, and I get where you're coming from. The 2 previous meetings this year were 4-1 and 3-2, but my initial thoughts on the 6.5, and I think I put a free play up, was it was the final game analytics that I looked at in those games, and the final score really didn't mimic what the actual goals should have been, and it was similar to a game last week where I went over, even though the previous games were unders. And that game, I think it was Edmonton and Edmonton and Colorado. Low scoring previous meetings, but the numbers didn't match the final analytics, which is one of the reasons why I was looking at the over in this game. But the point of liking Florida, even though it likely does not make my card tonight, is the only thing that worries me, Buster, is the -120 screams that the books want you to bet on Florida tonight. And usually when you see something like that, I think you want to run the other way. Any thought on that, Andrew?
It's something that sometimes I find you can kind of get in your head about, but I agree. It's one of those things that you want to be aware of and kind of look at. Trying to think what's going on here with the price. Why is it the way it is? And of course, one point that you mentioned there, with it being in Boston, I'm a big believer that you're going to get less flat spots from teams when they're playing at home late in the season. On the road, you could see more of a dud. And I read something, guys, on the weekend that apparently Patrice Bergeron was asked by head coach Bruce Cassidy if he wanted to suit up in that game Sunday night. So he said, "Hey, look, no, I'm from Quebec. My family and friends are going to be here. It's Guy Lafleur night. I want to play." I wonder, at what point in the season we start to see this stuff happen, even with potential playoff positions on the line, getting some of these veteran guys some rest and things of that nature. But for me, I like Florida and the over. I think we're going to see some goals. So I think we all kind of see some goals happening in this one. The 3 and 4 situation is applicable here, like Buster mentioned, and the scheduling kind of lines up. And to be honest with you, that game that I was at when I saw Boston play, Montreal had plenty of chances. They just couldn't finish, and it was a 5-3 hockey game. I think it could have been a 7-4 hockey game. 7-5. I mean, this could have been a massive over type game. And it had a flat start, after a long ceremony. So I like the over, but I do think it's a short price on the road team to get the job done with the Florida Panthers. So we'll keep things going here, guys, with our next game. Let's jump into the Carolina Hurricanes and the New York Rangers. Totals at 5.5. Rangers -115 at home, Madison Square Garden. Looking at the puck line here, if you want that price, juicy one here, -1.5, +210 in favor of the Rangers here. Buster, I'll go to you for your thoughts. Obviously, 2 great teams in this Eastern Conference, 2 teams with high hopes heading into the playoffs, 2 teams with great goaltending, of course. What are your thoughts in this contest?
Yeah, another. I have to give Carmine props. He's picked 4 solid games tonight to discuss here. Carolina now has won 4 in a row. They come here 3rd out of 4 nights on the road. That sometimes is key when it's 3rd and 4 nights and they're all on the road. Unlike where Boston will be playing at home tonight. Like the fact that these Rangers have not played since Saturday, and I think that extra rest will be key. I come on here Tuesdays all the time, and I have mentioned that a few times this year where a team has all that extra rest on a Saturday and playing on the Tuesday, getting that extra day. Carolina, they're up 2-1 this season with between the clubs. Carolina dominated those first two games, but Georgiev stole the one. I believe maybe 2 weeks ago they played on a Tuesday, so this kind of seems a little deja vu. Last week was the last time they played, whatever it was 2 weeks ago. That was probably the Rangers' best game, but they lost 4-2. Shesterkin didn't really look all that good. Rangers, played a pretty good game. Because of the situation here, I'm gonna take the home team. I'm gonna take the Rangers here. The thing is, Carolina did win the last game, and we always mention these kind of stats, but that makes them only 6-21 the last 27 games in New York. So, and here's another key that kind of puts me on the Rangers here. Carolina's got trouble in net, right? They don't have both their goaltenders, and I'm going to butcher this guy's name. Just give everybody a heads up. Kochetkov is going to be playing his third game in 4 nights, and that is not really a good thing for a young NHL goaltender. And I know Carolina will probably try to play defense for sure. So if anything, that would be something that on the 5.5, you might want to take that under, but I want really no part of the total. Because of the situation, because of who's in net, because Shesterkin stunk against Carolina the last time in New York, give me the Rangers at an even price.
All right, Buster, looking towards the New York Rangers here, playing at home tonight. Great information there. I'll keep it short and sweet. In my opinion, the play that I liked, if I were to bet this one, I'd be looking towards the first period under 1.5 goals here. Buster talks about that bounce back from goaltending position for the New York Rangers. I like the way they're playing defensively, and I like the messages I'm seeing, in the media. Look, I'm not a huge quotes guy. I don't always buy in to quotes. I'm not that kind of handicapper because I find you can twist any quote really to create your own narrative. But near the end of the season is when I really care about them because I really can get that impression on what the coach really wants to see, whether it results in a win or a loss. What is the coach putting pressure on? I think we'll see the New York Rangers defense stay at home a little more, let the forwards do their job, and they'll sit back. And Buster talks about that young goaltender. That's kind of why I'm looking towards the first period. I'm not sure what's going to happen through 60 minutes. I'll focus in on the first period. Usually we're on here talking about the first period overs. How about a first period under 1.5 here, Carm?
Man, I hate to disagree with you guys sometimes or all the time or whenever, but it's one where I'm looking at the over in this one, even with Shesterkin in goal. You look at this Carolina team, and a win tonight, as far as Carolina goes, a win tonight locks up the Metro for them. A win by the Rangers in regulation time, and the Metro is still up for grabs. But with that said, they beat Shesterkin earlier this year and scored on them. And this is a team that recently, as far as the Hurricanes go, is a team that looked like they were struggling. They were falling behind early and fighting their way through. But it's kind of like a truck stuck in mud. They have finally gotten out of it. They're scoring some goals. And regardless of whether it came against the New York Islanders, and I think there was Sorokin in goal and they still scored 5 on them, or the Devils or Winnipeg or the Coyotes, the fact is they're finally starting to score goals again, which bodes well for them because they might need to score goals because of the fact that you have now Antti Ranta, who left that game against the Islanders with an injury, and then you have Anderson, where it's an undisclosed injury. They're not giving us much information, if any at all, as far as Brind'Amour goes. So I can see some goals in this one, and Buster, you still did a very good job on his name. The version of that, his first name, the version of it is actually Peter, so we can call him much like Peter the Great. We'll just call him Peter in goal tonight for Carolina. I'm looking at the over 5.5 in this one. I think we're going to see some goals in this one, and the total is where I want it to be. The total is where it's supposed to be. Whenever you have the Rangers at home with Shesterkin in goal. Do they bounce back off that loss against the Boston Bruins, having looked good prior to that? They probably do, but I don't want to pick a side in this one, so I'm going to go with the total here. I think there's some good angles to look at in this one, and the over in this game. So over 5.5 is my play here.
Well, Carm, the good news is we could both cash. Let's just get all the goals in the second and third period for you, and I'll be happy. And hopefully the first period stays under. But it's funny, guys, about the name pronunciations. I used to do play-by-play, and I actually did Paralympic qualifying play-by-play for volleyball. And trying to pronounce some of these names, it was a problem in its own. That was half the job before the game was just learning some of these names and spelling them out, how they sound. Sometimes players would just walk up to me and just say, hey, just call me number 6. If you can't say it, just call me whatever my number is. It's tough. Some of these names, guys, they're not easy. Calgary and Nashville. Let's keep this train on the tracks. However, Nashville plus 120 at home. We've got Calgary minus 140 road favorites here. Look, if you guys know me, I've kind of had an up and down season and read here with the Nashville Predators, I guess you could say. I mean, they've been disappointing at certain points, but they've also played some strong hockey at certain points. But you take a look at what they've done recently, who they've defeated, who they've played well against. Well, one of those teams was actually Calgary. But other than that, we're looking at Chicago. We're talking about Ottawa. And you guys know how I feel about that stuff. The strength of schedule. Who have you defeated? Who have you lost to? And to me, I don't think this is a proper price. I don't think this makes sense. I'm looking forward to fading Nashville in the postseason. I don't think they have the consistency enough to compete with Calgary. Calgary's a team that has plenty of depth. They pour out several lines that can score and hurt you. Whereas Nashville right now, sure, they've got several lines that can, play defense and get pucks deep and lay the body and be physical. But I don't think they have nearly as many contributors as the Calgary Flames do. Mm-hmm. So I actually think it's a short price on them. I think it's reasonable. Obviously Nashville, they're off that win against Calgary just a couple, little while back. But I think this is a spot here where Calgary can get it done. They want to go into the playoffs on a good note. Head coach Sutter is keeping them focused, keeping them on the tracks, and I think it's good for them. You don't want to be that team that enters the playoffs feeling good about yourselves after winning the division, but also, off several losses. They're going to stay focused, I believe. And I think Calgary wins tonight, Carm. What about you?
Yeah. I agree with you in the fact that they stay focused. And right now we're seeing across some of the sites, even though the goalies aren't listed, that it's Markstrom in goal for the Flames. I think Vladar started the last game, but Nashville just beat them recently, 3-2. That game went to overtime. If you looked at the Nashville game just recently, this is a team just trying to pick up single points, Andrew. A win would be great, but they're trying to somehow limp into the playoffs. They're in a good spot right now. They're 4 points up on Vegas because Vegas continues to shoot themselves in the foot, losing to teams like the Sharks and losing to teams like New Jersey. But 4 points up, more importantly, 2 more wins in the regulation win column against Vegas. So another win will likely get them in. And they while they have Calgary and then I think Colorado, they finish with Arizona. So you got to figure they're going to pick up a win there. I'm looking at the under here because I think you have Saros in goal. You're going to have obviously Markstrom in goal. And you're going to have a team that's looking to keep this game as close as possible, as tight as possible. They're not looking to get into a goal fest with the Flames in this one. They're looking to get into the playoffs and then worry about things after that. The way the situation, someone had asked before the show started if we could talk about the situation right now. The Vegas Golden Knights, who we're going to talk about last, it's probably better for me to speak on it there. But they're going to need wins. They're going to need regulation wins, and we'll talk about that shortly. But the Preds essentially need, I think, 2 points gets them in. 3 points definitely gets them in, but 2 points should get them in. This is a big game for them against a Calgary team that aren't really motivated. Sutter's going to keep motivated, but they've already locked up the Pacific. So heading into this game, are they completely there, Andrew? I'm not entirely sure. And that's probably why the price is where it is. I wouldn't want to lean to the dog here because I don't want to side. I just think this is going to be a tight one. I think it's going to play out much like their last meeting did just a short while ago with the game ending, I think, 3-2 in OT. And I'm looking at the under here. I think the last couple of weeks we've seen those tight defensive games that have gone to OT with teams looking to pick up single points. And this one just fits that model, I think. So I'm going to go under the total here. Buster?
Yeah, Carmine, I actually can't blame you about going on the under here. But for us, we want no part of this total. I think we said that it might have been even last week this game came up. I can't remember, but it was recently when Nashville beat them in OT. Calgary played some great hockey, like you said. The 9-2 last 11, and it's funny how you said, Carmine, Nashville's limping home. That's exactly what I had written down, that Nashville is limping to get a playoff spot, because I fully believe they are going to get into the playoffs, because I've actually said on here for the last month that Vegas is not going to, and it looks like that's going to come to fruition maybe even as quick as tonight. Nashville, I guess they need a win in regulation. I don't understand all this stuff, but they need a win in regulation to be in for sure tonight against Calgary. Calgary plays their last 3 games on the road. They, again, how much, Carmine mentioned it, how much interested are they really want to be in this play? Now, I know I'm going against you here, Andrew, and taking Nashville, but I just think Nashville, they have to do it now. And Calgary, well, guess who they might play that first round? It's a good chance. It's going to be Nashville. So do they really want to go in here and show anything, or maybe they do. Maybe they want to come out and try to crush them. But to me, Nashville's going to be way more motivated. They need this game. They want this game more. Calgary's sitting pretty, want to make sure that they don't have any stupid injuries in these last 3 games, so they're all set for the playoffs, because they could make a pretty big run. They have everything that it takes for an NHL team, what you like in the playoffs, especially with Markstrom in net. If he stands on his head, he can be dangerous come playoff time. Nashville has won both games in OT, as we talked. Calgary, after the loss last time, they're now 8-3 in Nashville. So that's good. They play well in Nashville. But the Predators have won the last 4 games between these clubs. And the underdog in this series, which this thing stands out, 17-4 last 21. Not sure if it's going to make my card, because it's a tough play, but I definitely would take Nashville small in this spot.
All right, Buster, I'm going to jump in just before I throw it back to Andrew for our next game. And Andrew, one last thought on this one. And when we talk about goalies, is I wouldn't be surprised just because nothing's been confirmed as of yet. You look at Calgary, and as Buster mentioned, they're playing out the string here, and they play Nashville tonight, and then they back-to-back with Minnesota, and I'm not sure they play their final game against. But you would think, at least I would think, you would go Vladar, Markstrom against Minnesota, and then you close out with Vladar. You give Markstrom the weekend off and get him ready for the playoff series, which I'm not sure whether they start on Monday or Tuesday, but I would think that would be the better thing. You're sort of protecting your goalie. He's fresh. Listen, he's played a majority of the games this season. The last thing you want to do with a goalie is risk an injury. And they don't need to send Nashville a message. They don't need to do Vegas any favors either by beating Nashville. We talk about teams doing other teams favors. Listen, Tampa Bay last year, I'm going to harp on that again. They went into Florida. They knew they were going to play Florida in the first round. They didn't care about the last couple of games. They lost both and then knocked out Florida in the first round. Calgary knows they're a better team than Nashville. It doesn't matter to them whether they win or lose. In my mind, if they face them in the first round, they figure they're still going to beat them. But anything on that, or should we move on?
I mean, we disagree a little bit, and that's all right. I get it that sometimes there are those opportunities in those situations, like you said, where Tampa knew last year with Florida, but we also look at last week. Tampa Bay knew they were going to play Toronto in the playoffs probably, and they smoked them at home. And I think, Calgary, especially off the loss to Nashville last week, and they know they're going to play them in the playoffs, and Sutter's been preaching, hey, stay focused, stay focused, stay focused. I just don't think Nashville is as good as them. And even on a bad day, I think that we're gonna see them bounce back after last week. But hey, that's the thing about handicapping this week. We all sound like psychologists trying to figure out what's in the mind of these players. I mean, we haven't talked to them today. We don't know how they're feeling. But I do like that under, Carm, quite a bit that you're talking about. I do still think it'll be a tight game. But let's wrap things up. with the aforementioned Vegas Golden Knight game against the Dallas Stars. The schedule makers, of course, didn't know what they were doing at the time, but they did us a favor with an entertaining game nonetheless here. Vegas, Dallas, it's a pick'em spot here, total 5.5. And wasn't it something a couple days ago when what seemed like the entire hockey world were cheering for the San Jose Sharks? Apparently, Timo Meier, a player for the San Jose Sharks, a forward, he was getting texts from players around the league saying that we're rooting for you. We're rooting for you. And that game meant nothing to them besides playing spoiler against the Vegas Golden Knights. Of course, they come out with that win in a shootout. Look, I think with Vegas, they become that villain buster here because they just have so much talent. They're kind of shape-shifting their roster all the time. But it's also because they've been good ever since they entered the league. And now every single game matters for them. Dallas are going to play spoiler. If they want to finish things off on a great note as well, looking forward to your take on this one, Buster.
Yeah, you know what, Andrew? This is going to be a fantastic hockey game here tonight. Lots of trouble for Vegas. I said it all year. There's just something missing. Talked about how they're going to fire their coach. I'm not sure when he gets fired, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. Yeah, they have to win all 3 games. And Dallas, they have Arizona and Anaheim left too. So I tell you, Vegas is just in trouble. Bottom line, do they win here tonight? Vegas, they could. Why does everybody want Vegas out, like all these teams? Because they know Vegas is the type of team that could win. I mean, they have a strong team. If they put it together, they could, but they're falling too short. And now they got that news yesterday about Lehner. He's done for the season. And now Thompson has to take them and win all 3 of these games and just hope Dallas stumbles in one of those games against Arizona and Anaheim. Not thinking that's going to happen. That's a lot of pressure to put on this kid. And anyways, bottom line for me, on the side in this game, I want no part of it, like no part of it. It's just a game that you definitely have to pass. There's just no reason in my head to play this game at all. It's just too tough. It can go either way. Now let's talk about the total. Carmine mentioned it earlier where, you see a game where it looks like it should be under. These guys play unders. There's a lot of trends to the under here, but it's 5.5. And because of the situation here, and you just have to hear me out, because of the situation, I think you might get a bunch of empty net goals late to push us over if it doesn't go over anyways, because Thompson's rattled and knows all the pressure on him, and maybe he starts letting some easy ones in. You know what I mean? I don't know. But if this game's 3-1 Dallas or 3-1 Vegas, you don't think they're pulling their goalie with 4 minutes left? You don't think they're pulling their goalie again? They won't care. I mean, I just see the only way to bet this total is over, even though the trends tell you under. Not sure if it's making my card, but I really think a small play on the over here is worth it. Sit down, watch this game. It's going to be fantastic if you ask me, and it's going to be a prelim just for what we're going to see when the playoffs start, and really looking forward to Monday, that's for sure.
It is definitely going to be a great hockey game, a very tight one, and I agree with Buster about those empty net goals. That's why in-game betting is so fun, especially late in the season, but also in the playoffs, Buster, because they don't care what that scoreboard result is. They just care about the W. So if they're down, they pull their goalie, get scored on, well, they're probably going to keep that guy out there on the bench. Before I throw to Carmine, I just want to mention, kind of piggyback off something that Buster mentioned earlier in the show and just a few moments ago. Guys, I've been known to be a prop bettor, mostly in the NFL, but I like the NHL props as well. And I'm going to get back, just like usual, to betting them in the playoffs. Mostly an NHL playoff prop bettor. But I wanted to mention, you talk about desperation. You always, you talk about how this is a huge game. And from what you always hear from coaches is shot quality, right? You want to put good shots on net. But also, I believe Vegas wants to control possession. They don't want to have it in their own end. They want to have, possession. They're not going to dump and chase. They're going to get possession, get the puck on net, freeze it, and get a change. Get your top guys out there. Why am I saying all this right now? Guys, I think that looking at right now, the prop betting market for tonight, over 3.5 shots on goal, -105 for Jack Eichel is a great play in this game. Mark's Pietrangelo. I don't know why I'm losing his first name here, but Pietrangelo is a guy as well, defenseman for the Vegas Golden Knights. He is someone that I would look at as well, over 2.5 shots. He's a great defenseman, a veteran, someone that plays well offensively, though, too, and he'll want to get shots on goal. Guys, it's a new world we're living in with sports betting. You don't have to pick a side or a total. I believe in this one, my favorite bet is the Jack Eichel shots on goal prop here over 3.5. If they go down, they're going down with plenty of shots on goal. Look forward to plenty more props in the playoffs, but that's one I really do like here. Carm, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, my thoughts are that the Vegas Golden Knights left 3 points on the ice, and they would not be in this predicament. But ifs and buts, the old saying. Losing to New Jersey in regulation time, losing to San Jose in OT, in a shootout, in a game in which they had a 2-goal lead with about 2.5 minutes left in that game. They have to close those games out. They have to win those games against a team like New Jersey, and they wouldn't be in this spot. They'd be right now. They'd be tied on points with the Dallas Stars, and we'd be talking about how this was a crucial game for both teams. Buster makes a good point, and I've talked about it on, I think, on the weekend. That opportunity could very well present itself in this game. That this game could be tied late, and the Vegas Golden Knights are going to have to pull their goalie in a tie game, because you cannot afford to. They can't get this game to overtime and win the game in overtime, because unless Nashville loses every single game, they'll have more regulation wins. Vegas is behind the 8 ball in that. And then you look at the Dallas Stars and who they have left, and both their games are games that they are supposed to win against bottom feeders. So with that said, Vegas is in a tough spot here. I like the over. I know Vegas is 2-0 versus Dallas this season, but I think you throw those numbers out the door. This is a game where they're going to be tight in this game. I think we're going to see some goals in this game, and even if it is a low-scoring game early on, we're probably going to see some goals in this third period. It's a unique situation. We've seen it a couple times in years past. If you remember, teams having to pull goalies in a tie game because they needed to get a regulation win also stopped Dallas from picking up a crucial point. You look at some teams, they play for ties. Dallas could very well, at the end of that game, just clog up center ice. Look at the Minnesota-Nashville game, I think, on the weekend. The last 90 seconds of that game, there was very little offense, and teams literally held the puck behind their goal for 15, 20 seconds before moving it out. It almost felt like a soccer game within a hockey game. With that said, I'm going to go over 5.5 in this game. I think we see goals in this game. Should be an entertaining one. But I think the Vegas Golden Knights left it too little too late and shot themselves in the foot in this one.
It's certainly a game we'll all have our eyes on. Looking forward to it. Guys, that's the 4 games we'll break down for today. Hope you enjoyed. Hopefully you found some winning betting information out of those. Look forward to cashing some tickets tonight. But let's jump into the power play section of the show. Start over with Don Buster for your power play and what you have going tonight at sportsmemo.com.
Yeah, Andrew, Sports Memo and WagerTalk have that great hockey special for us hockey guys. Puck 149. You get the rest of this week and all of the NHL playoffs, right? The Stanley Cup Finals. We're number 1 at Sports Memo last 30 days, plus 34% profit for our clients. Really seeing the ice well right now. And we're actually getting a little puck luck, finally winning a few games in overtime this year. We were actually, from 2022, we were at 0-15, and now we're like 4-16. So looking forward to the hockey gods treating us right in the playoffs, because there's a lot of overtime games. My show play here is going to be St. Louis first period on the money line, plus 125. Colorado looks like they're just giving up the ghost here. They don't really care. They're sitting back, don't want any injuries. And St. Louis is in a fight with Minnesota for that last playoff, for maybe home ice advantage when they play. I'm pretty sure they play each other. So first period, like St. Louis to come out. They're getting plus 125. As always, best of luck to everyone. And go over to Sports Memo and grab our package for $149. You'll be glad you did.
Great stuff, Buster. Always good to see you. Best of luck tonight. We got a great first period play once again with some nice plus money from Don Buster. Carm, over to you. Fresh off that 6-0 and the 6-60, 5% play up for you tonight at WagerTalk. What else is going on with you?
Yeah, I'm going to echo Buster's thoughts. Buster's going to fill in on Thursday for Brian Leonard, who is traveling. Brian will return next week, but Buster's done a lot of work on the show all season long. So, head over to Sports Memo, obviously, and support him. Take advantage of that Puck 149 promo. Yeah, Andrew, I've got a 5% play up tonight, 10-3 in 2022 with these plays. Found one that I like. Let's hope we can finish off the NHL regular season with a good run this week. So take advantage of that Puck 149. One Champions League play going this afternoon, along with 4 or 5 prop bets in that game as well, too, as Man City face Real Madrid in that one, and likely add a couple client plays up in the NHL as well, too. So even that one-day all-access gets them all. So as far as my show best bet, I'm going to go back to one of the games we discussed earlier on the show. The Carolina-New York Rangers one. I'm looking at the over here, the over 5.5. I get it. It's your Sturkin goal. Carolina can close out the Metro with a win tonight. And obviously some goaltending problems. Listen, he was good, this goalie, before he was called up from the minors. 13-1-1 record with the Chicago Wolves in the AHL. But you look back at some of his, playing better teams, which is in the KHL. The KHL is a pretty good league as well, too, guys. And his save percentage there wasn't as great. So, in looking at it, he's played well in these 2 starts. Obviously, one start and 1 in relief. But I think the Rangers are going to bring it tonight. I think we're going to see some goals. And Carolina's getting their share of goals lately. So I'm going to go over 5.5 here and hope that we can hit this one early enough to watch that Vegas and Dallas game.
Carolina, New York, over 5.5. Best of luck to you, Carm, on your 5% play, and of course on your show best bet as well. I also have a 5% play. It is a play on the diamond in the MLB. I'm riding a 25-10 5% run. That's all sports, not just MLB, but the 5% plays have gone pretty well. Number 1 at WagerTalk still with those 5% plays over the last 365 days. 63% MLB run dating back to last few weeks of the MLB year last year. So hoping to keep that going, guys. Grab that over at wagertalk.com. Jumping into my show best bet. Well, that expression, ride the hot, fade the cold. I don't know if that really applies here because there's 2 teams that are not in the playoffs, but I'm going to go with it with the Senators and the Devils because we have a Senators team playing out their season with heart, 3 straight wins and scoring goals in those games, whereas the Devils have only scored 3 goals twice in their last 10 games, and they're 3-7 in those 10. A team that I want to fade. They're struggling offensively, struggling defensively. Sign me up to bet on the Ottawa Senators -140 tonight, and we will keep fading this New Jersey Devils team. Carmine Bianco, he's got Carolina and New York over 5.5 as his show best bet, and Don Buster with St. Louis, first period on the money line, +125. On behalf of these 2 gentlemen, I'm Andrew, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
All we can say is wow. We ran an NBA playoff special in which the first 99 packages sold were discounted down to $149, and pardon the pun, they sold like hotcakes. Well, NHL fans, do not fret, as we are not only matching that offer, but we are actually making it better. Starting Monday, April 25th, the first 99 packages sold using the code PUCK149 will not only get the entire NHL playoffs for only $149, but they will also get the rest of the regular season for free. That means that you can get over 2 months of NHL through the Stanley Cup Finals for under $19 per week. That's paying less than one single play package regularly priced at $25. Do not get shut out, as coupon code PUCK149 is good at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo, and only will be available for the first 99 packages sold, but you may use this code to purchase more than one NHL playoff package.